There's lots of fans of the designers up on stage here tonight, I can tell. But let's start with fashion. Roberta, how did you get started in fashion?
Well, first, I just want to thank everyone for coming out tonight, and it's great to see friends and fans in the audience. So this is something that I don't really, come up for air very often, and feel like I just work a lot. So this has been a great reason to pause and just kind of reflect on, where I did start and where it's at now. And there's been a lot of trial and error and adjustments kind of on the journey. My brand is 20 years this year, so it's, thank you. It was, in preparing for tonight and coming up with images for the slideshow, I really did have to kind of step back and take a look at where I started, and it's been a journey. I am self-taught. My background is in photography and graphic design. That's what I studied at university, and when I landed here in 2003, I had $50 and no clue what I was doing. And this place has been really welcoming to me, and I think it is really interesting looking back how life just kind of takes you on this journey. So I bought a sewing machine at a garage sale and used to shop at the thrift stores when you could find a lot of cool vintage stuff. Harder to find these days. But I taught myself just by deconstructing and reconstructing, really learned and I think learning from vintage too, stuff was made really well. Things are different now. Fast fashion is not really made to last, and so the construction of vintage garments really is kind of what taught me how to pattern things and how to sew. And I started my business. The first pop-up I ever did was at the Arts at Mark's Garage for a Girl Fest show. I guess this was 2004. Hung a rack of clothes to accompany a bunch of collage art that I'd been doing, and nobody bought my art, but everybody bought the clothes. So that was kind of an indicator that, okay, maybe this is something. And from there, my early stuff is so rough and raw and so much zigzag stitching and a lot of, I did a lot of slip dresses and played with dye and embellished things, and it was all women's wear. And in preparing, photos to give for the slideshow, I found all of these old photos of stuff that I used to make, and I can't believe anybody actually bought it. But thank you for everyone that did. That's kind of how I started. Was that the question?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, so 20 years now.
20 years, yeah. And I don't hand make everything anymore. I have amazing help with that here locally, and my business has changed. My styles have changed a lot from the beginning, but I kept going and kind of have evolved into being a different type of brand than what I was in the very beginning. So yeah, it was kind of fun to reflect back on that, and it changed a lot. And it's such an honor to be here tonight, and to be recognized as, an Aloha designer. Yeah.
Thank you. Now, Aloha? I mean, how old is your label now?
It's 6 years old. I'm the baby here. I'm super the baby. It started off because I just wanted to make Aloha shirts that nobody else had. That's how it started. And I got some friends who helped me do some designs. And we released it on a Merry Monarch of 2000, I think it was 2018. And it was right before Instagram realized that they can control the algorithm. And we advertised on Instagram. And I had 240 shirts, and in 3 days, we sold 229 shirts. And I said, what am I going to take to Merry Monarch? Because now I have nothing. I thought like maybe 10, 15 people would want to buy a shirt. And I was like, yeah, this would be fun at Merry Monarch. And, you know, for years, Nakeʻu has been my complete inspiration and fairy godmother in this whole situation. But watching how he does it, I was like, hey, we're going to do this. And we keep all of our minimums very low. So our shirts, we only do about 32 shirts for men. And in women's stuff, we do 3 to 4 in each size. And then that's it. We keep it small. All of our stuff is screen printed, cut and sewn in Hawaii. And that was our important. It's getting harder now. The seamstress companies are slowing down. Their children don't want to sew. You know, families are changing. Fast fashion is a huge thing right now. So yeah, it was all for fun. I actually have a real job. It was all for fun, and it was like, we're just gonna make a couple Aloha shirts. And then now I go into our design house and we have like 300 patterns, and geez, we have so much stuff now. It's crazy. I would have never thought 6 years ago first of all, I'd be sitting on this stage next to legendary Nakeʻu Awai. This is huge for me, by the way. This is like fangirling, like major. But yeah, I'm like nobody. Like I'm this kid from Kona who learned how to sew when he was young. My grandmother sewed, my mom sewed, my sister sewed, but they were junk. Don't tell them I said that. They're still junk till today. But they're super bossy, so everything I design, like they're like, where's the pockets? Number 1, where's the pockets? Number 2, why is it cut off this bias? Number 3, why isn't it longer? I have a big butt. I have it's just everything. If it's not my 4 bossy sisters, it's my best friend lawyers. They're constantly telling me, yeah. So we have different lengths and different things named after certain people because they wanted a certain way. So
what was the first design, the first print?
Our first print was our newspaper design, the lehua design, and the jade. So all of our designs basically come off of sense of self, sense of place, or sense of community. All our designs honors people, places, or movements within the Hawaiian culture. It was an opportunity for us to send a message by wearing it versus having to say it. So the lehua was, during that time, Hawaiian, we had the big rapid ohia death. So it was, don't pick our flowers, wear it instead and share the message. The newspapers is because all of us who are students of Hawaiian language, we look to our old newspapers for so many different momi or pearls of wisdom from our past that it allows us to look forward to the future, being able to apply ourselves culturally. And so like the whole newspaper design, which was, again, I just thought a few people was gonna buy a shirt, it evolved huge. And so now we have a lot of designs that stems off of the newspapers now because so much people had enjoyed it so much. So I'm super blessed. And to be clear, I don't know what I'm doing. I promise. Everything is, and I say this lightly, everything was for shits and giggles. It was all for fun. And it's turned into this huge project that it's kind of consuming our lives, but I wouldn't take it back for any. It's been fun.
Now, Nakeʻu, you have lots of experience. How did you start in the fashion industry?
When?
Or how or when, yes.
How did I start? Well, I was in show business many years ago. I was a singer-dancer in flower drum song and lived on the East Coast and eventually moved west and lived in Hollywood where I became a singer-dancer on television with people like Sammy Davis, Elvis Presley, Petula Clark, Dionne Warwick, etc., etc., etc. While I was there, because of my pake side, besides performing, I felt I needed to do something else. So another fellow friend from Hawaii and I started a business because a Japanese friend of ours taught us how to do macrame. And this was before all the hippies started doing macrame with hemp rope and stuff. So we used, if you know what majorettes or, you know, in the band, the majorettes have this braided thing they wear on their shoulders. That kind of cordage is what we use. And it came in over 20 colors, and so we did macrame, and I, in my very artistic way, with boots, old jeans, a white T-shirt, and a rattan bag, went tromping through Hollywood through Beverly Hills and sold macrame, eventually selling macrame to two fashion designers. One was Bob Mackie, you know him from, yeah. And the other one was Jean-Louis, and a lot of people didn't know who Jean-Louis was. So I said, remember all those Lana Turner movies? There's the gowns by Jean-Louis. So Jean-Louis was a very meditative, quiet, he was a nice person. It was interesting about his factory because compared to, what is that factory here in Hawaii that I first went through? I mean, at Jean-Louis' factory, half of it was Haole women and the other half were Japanese. In the Haole portion of his factory was noisy. In the Japanese section, here's to my friends like Anna Sakura and them. In the other part of the section, it was very. Well, so it was my introduction to fashion, and we did some macrame pieces for both Bob Mackie and Jean-Louis. And then it was time for me to come home because I spent the summer coming back to see my folks, and they had gotten older, and I figured somebody's got to come back to take care of them. So I came back. And then in coming back, I had a garage sale, shipped everything home. What do I do in Hawaii? Because I wasn't into hula. I didn't know Hawaiian entertainment. I did get to perform with Liz Damon and the Orient Express when she was at the pagoda, but it was not Hawaiian, it was jazz and stuff like that. And because my father was financially helpful, he started me with a check, and I started into fashions. And it was difficult to do Hawaiian wear. So my whole first collection was done with palaka, and I had trouble with it because Surfline had the hold on palaka. In other words, they promised to buy so much, so palaka was very expensive. So I decided to use domestic fabric. So when I first started fashions, it was khaki. My first label was khaki wahine, khaki wahine, khaki wahine. That was my first label. And because I go, well, if you're going to go into fashions, you got to go to the top. So because I've always been rather daring, it wasn't strange for me to take my collection to Carol and Mary. I don't know if you remember that store, but it was a wonderful special store. And the buyer there, she took a liking to me, and she called me, Nakeʻu, Nakeʻu. So eventually, my label became Nakeʻu. So I sold my first things to Carol and Mary. I did also do a holokū for Liberty House, but I hated working with the buyers there because they go, well, in the fashion magazines, this season the colors are khaki, army green, and beige. And I went, really? And Nakeʻu, if you could maybe add 2 more buttons to your shoulder dress there. And I went, really? So I never went back to Liberty House. But I eventually started doing fashions because domestic fabrics was frustrating. I ended up like Alan O. When I first came back to Hawaii, I came back with a buddy friend of mine who was an artist, and many of you will remember the name, Alan Akina. He was a fantastic artist. We came back together, and he did his thing, and I did my thing, but we shared a studio space on Keʻeamoku Street, which the building now is finally gone, and they're building a condo. So Alan and I started together, and he wanted to go Waikiki, and I wanted to do my clothing for local people. So I moved, we separated. He went his direction, and I moved to Kapalama, and that's where I had my shop for over 40 years, and I made 86, and I'm still going. Got a haircut, also got a color. Why not? You know, when you're 86, why not? If you want blue hair, blue hair. So the prints that became mine, I have like over 30 prints, were done by local artists like Hiko Hanapi. One was a Haole friend of mine who I met long ago, Richard Vise. He was an artist here. He was a fashion illustrator for Liberty House. And we became friends, and he started doing artwork. And most of my prints that I have today are all from Richard Vise, who still is an artist living in Baltimore, Maryland. And he went from fashion illustrations, and now he does nude men, and he's doing very well. He sends these notices where he had his exhibit in a gallery, and people from around the world, Kani and Vahini, come and support his artwork. So I must give him credit because he's just a few years younger than me, but he's still plugging. I'm so happy to see so many people that I haven't seen a long time, from Maui, anyway, I feel very blessed to see familiar faces and unfamiliar, like the woman that came up and said, "You did my wedding gown." Domo arigato.
So Nakeʻu, I mean, we do see your garments in the audience and what you're wearing. What inspires your motifs? I mean, there's a lot of hula, there's some kapa. Yeah. So how do you get those inspirations for the fabric designs?
Yeah, well, what I also want to explain that I connected some time ago with a tapa maker, and she became a very well-known tapa maker, Moana Isley. And I wanted to wear this because she gave me 2 of her tapa prints to print on fabric. And this one is one. And she told me, and I wanted to share this with you, that's why I didn't put on the lei, because you wouldn't be able to see it, that Hawaiians were very akamai, or very smart, at doing designs with kapa prints, as well as they created design with negative space. So in other words, where there isn't a print, it creates another design. You see this thing going across here. And so I just wanted to share with you that the Hawaiians were very akamai. They were very smart. And that's why I didn't put the leis on. But thank you for all the leis. I will wear them tomorrow in the shop. I will share them with people that come into the shop.
Only Nakeʻu Awai, you give him one, he's like, no. Only him.
Roberta, where do you get your inspiration for your fabric motifs?
So I pull inspiration from a lot of different places. I actually don't look at a lot of fashion. I subscribe to like every architecture magazine you could imagine. I find interiors to be really inspiring. There's definitely an era called the 1960s that really inspires me. I think print and color were really electric and fun and free, and I kind of pull that energy into what I do. I think for me, my brand is very color and print forward in a way that's like maybe a little bit more graphic, and I feel like I'm not telling a story so much with my prints as kind of putting out an energy and a vibe. And the print I'm wearing right now actually is something I did in Mexico last year. I travel and create from, inspiration from trips and stuff. And so, yeah, I think I do draw. I illustrate a lot of, of course, Hawaii. I wouldn't be doing this anywhere else, and this place inspires me in so many ways. I think we have stuff in bloom like all the time, and I love to sit and draw flowers, and that ends up being designs. But I feel like sometimes it's not that straightforward. It's more like being here allows my creativity to flow, and I think this place is allowed me to kind of tap into levels of my creativity that I can't do in other places. I'm originally from Missouri. I was just there a couple weeks ago. Missouri is an amazing place, by the way. 4 seasons, beautiful rolling hills, like amazing forests and wildflowers and caves and spring-fed rivers. It's really, really beautiful. But it's so funny, in the room that I stay in at my mom's house, she just kind of redid stuff hanging on the walls, and there was this drawing I did in 2nd grade of this parrot. And I was like, oh my God, I was drawing parrots, and I remember drawing rainbows like crazy as a child, palm trees. Like, I laid in the sunny spot in the house as a kid in the wintertime and dreamt of being on a tropical island. So, I don't know. I ended up here, and this is like the most unlikely thing for a girl from Missouri to be doing, but, so it goes.
You did mention some of your other inspiration and other motifs like the Nupepa. What partnerships do you have with some of those places where you get those designs from?
So I'm super blessed to have super smart friends, and everybody should get some. And a lot of my friends are lawyers, I'm not gonna lie. Get some of those too, at least 2. Especially one that does contracts, especially that one. But I have friends that not only are they lawyers and they have doctorates in law, but they also have doctorates in Hawaiian studies and language, and a lot of them do a lot of research for us through newspapers, and they'll find certain things. So like, I'm wearing the Lili Uokalani letter that she tells Sanford Bito, where to go. And so that's the current design that we did, and then we also did another one with the Alakaʻimua pages from Hawaiian Mission House. At one time, the Hawaiian Mission House printed all these little booklets for the Native Hawaiians to learn how to read. And so I had done a photo shoot at the Mission House a couple of years back, and they granted me an opportunity to be able to use some of their things, their prints. And so we created this stuff, and so we created a new print, and all of like the Hawaiian language kids are like, I want it. And I was like, I'm sorry, there's only 32 shirts. And so they're like, when are you reprinting it? I'm like, I'm not. Like, we're gonna print it again like later. So it started. They got excited to see it. So it's. I love seeing print like this, like print on clothing and on stuff. So once you get to, we have a bunch of different stuff coming out with a lot of newspaper work. So that's one of the stuff. Then I teach hula. I don't know if you guys know that, but I teach hula in Kona. And so I'm always creating costumes. And so sometimes you need certain costumes to match a song. If you're gonna go to competition, you wanna be taken seriously, like you have to have stuff that's custom made. So a lot of our designs stemmed off of that as well. Whether it's my halal or another halal wants us to do the print. So a lot of our designs come off of that too. But
So how do you go to Mary Monarch, perform, and have a booth?
I have a great team. And I have bossy sisters. And I have a bossy cousin who worked in retail for 25 years, and so she handles the shop side. And then I have a really group of great friends that just love to support what we do and the craziness of our lives. But yeah, having a booth at Mary Monarch, competing, and all that, yeah, it's insanity and it's complete. That's my norm. Yeah.
No sleep.
What is that? You can sleep when you're dead. There's lots of time for that.
So Nakeʻu, I know you have partnerships and have supported other designers a lot. I mean, I was talking to one of my friends with Kane Hall Road, and you were his first commercial account to produce fabric, Grant Kagimoto. So, I mean, you've helped a lot of other people. What other partnerships have you done with your Aloha wear?
Yeah, I have a lot of, it goes back to all the different sales that I got in when I first started. And I would meet Grant as well as other people that created things through Temari. That was the company that Anna Sakura has. With them are Philip Marquardt and yeah. So my printing has continued, and I've stopped doing T-shirts, but I just met with Grant, and we're going to be printing some more T-shirts again.
Good.
With the same design, male hula dancers. I'm sorry.
Give Gerald the mic.
Oh. That's what's happened when you're 86. Your memory and your hearing goes kaput. So.
I'm 46 and my memory is going kaput.
Oh, wait till
already.
you get there. Wait till you get there.
So you have shirts coming out soon, though. You have new shirts coming out soon.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I know Roberta has partnerships, because I've noticed on the label on some of your garments, like the Breeze Block Boutique.
Yeah. So my last collab I did was with a friend who's an architect, very passionate about breeze blocks, kept at me for years, like, you should make some breeze block shirts. You should make some breeze block shirts. So finally we were like, okay, let's do some breeze block shirts. So it was super fun. We kept it pretty simple. We did 2 designs. He was really passionate about trying to save poly lanes. I think, unfortunately, that was already, I think they're planning to take it down and probably build something ugly and terrible. And that bowling alley was really fun, so that's such a bummer. But it inspired us to do a shirt based on the block that was outside of the bowling alley, and then we did another breeze block shirt that I think there's a couple in the audience tonight, and there's one in the show. So that was a fun project and kind of took me outside of my normal path of what I was doing for my own brand at the time, and has, I feel like, given, the architects like their breeze blocks. So I think I'm probably going to do some more breeze block shirts.
Okay. Now the audience is looking at all these images behind us, and we can see some of them in front, and these are some just fabulous, wonderful shots. And I look at Aloha's, and they're dressed so well. And where do all the props and the makeup and the hats come from?
Oh my God. Okay. Full disclaimer. I have a control problem. So when we do our photo shoots, I do the hair, I do the makeup, I do the styling, I do everything except take the photos. But recently, I've been giving it up and having somebody else do makeup. But I'll be really honest, like our photo, like when we have photo shoots, like that's the funnest part. Funnest, is that a word? Yeah. That's the funnest part of the entire business, because everything else is like stressful. You're like number crunching. You're like $60,000 in holding, waiting for the next release. So like this is the only time that we can do fun stuff. So all of these props is in my storage here in Honolulu. So all these suitcases go into each other into into the trunks, and then they get strategically placed, and then there's like umbrellas, and then there's like chairs, and then there's like couches, and then there's like, it's like if you move one thing wrong, like boom, you're dead. I got like little antique cars for the kids, and then I didn't want to sell it because I don't want nobody else to have it. So then my friend said, I'm a hoarder. Whatever, I'll take that. But if you need props for a photo shoot, come check it out. I got choke stuff. Choke. My storage started really small. Yeah, it's kind of big now. Yeah. But yeah, we old store on Kalihi Street. This is in Kona at Old Airport. It's full on raining. You cannot tell, but it's full raining. Her like eyelashes have raindrops coming down. The photographer's like, I love it, I love it. Yeah. It's this is in the lava fields by Mauna Kea. This is our Chinese New Year's release one time. I did it one time. I don't like red. I don't look good in red, so I didn't want to sell red after that. Yeah, it's been fun.
It's amazing, amazing photos. And Roberta, I mean, you're downtown. I mean, your physical shop is in Chinatown.
Yes.
And your photos, you just kind of run out the door and...
We do a few shoots in the neighborhood. I feel like different collections kind of ask for different locations. I think there's some photos on here of a Chinatown shoot we did. I do a newspaper print as well. Mine is, I really pulled a lot of ads and stuff from Chinatown. I found that to be really interesting, you know, all the commerce and everything was in Chinatown at one point. All the shops, all the mercantile shops, everything came in from Aloha Tower right there, and Chinatown was the hustle bustle spot. So, of course, I had to shoot our newspaper print shirt that's mostly features, ads and stories about Chinatown. This one here is a print that I call the Wailua. It's a hibiscus print, kind of abstracted. I feel like we do shoots kind of all over. It just depends on the product, and I think the product kind of tells you where it wants to be showcased. So,
thank you. I mean, it's that glam aspect of aloha wear because it can be dressy. I mean, we look at our exhibit; it's really focusing on the holokū, the muʻumuʻu, the holomu, and the aloha shirt. But it's much more than that. And I do have a confession. I did work at mission houses. And I know Nakeʻu started his fashion shows at Mission House, 1972, 74?
About there, around that time.
So how was that fashion show at this historic site? I mean...
Well, because of my background in theater, when I do fashion shows, it's not the typical Carol and Mary. Because when I went to Carol and Mary fashion show when I first came back, here were a bevy of models that were wearing local casual wear, but they were walking like they were Audrey Hepburn on the Parisian, the attitude. I mean, I went, but that isn't Hawaiian fashion. So when I did my shows, I used people who are people, and because they're not used to doing fashion shows, they play parts. So in segment 1, Annie is a school teacher. In segment 2, she's a dance hall queen. 10 cents a dance. So they become characters and they forget about the fact that they're on the stage and there's a group of people looking at them. And so this is the kind of shows that I do and have been doing for years. And the first one I did, I think, was in Waikiki somewhere, using 2 halaus. One were girls from Auntie Mikey, IU, and the others were from Alicia Smith, who at that time was a very winning hula halau at Marimana. Her halau during a certain era did very well, and I did a lot of their costumes, yeah. So fashion shows have always my fashion shows have always come from a theatrical background because I was in show business.
And if you've ever been to one of his fashion shows, please raise your hand if you've been to one of his fashion shows. Okay, if you haven't and you hear of it, please go, because he makes us work. So in my skinny days, when I could take off my shirt publicly, he made me wear a volleyball net and wrap pants and Japanese geta, and I gotta do what? Whatever you want, Nakeʻu. One year we was bunny rabbits,
And then
literally hopping. So when he says we forget what we're doing, no, we don't. We will never forget. It becomes trauma. But he is the most creative person that when you see, you cannot compare his fashion shows to nobody else. Yeah, he'll wrap somebody in saran wrap and then they have to rip it off and then they're leftovers. Or he'll there's things that he made us do, like childhood trauma, I promise to God. But brilliant, just absolutely brilliant. Crazy, but brilliant.
There are snippets of fashion shows in the exhibition. So, if you do watch closely, you will see some. I think there's one with you and Peter Rockford Espiritu, and then there's the Aupuni Space one later on. But
Yep.
wonderful shows, wonderful shows. So the exhibition, we look at these dresses. I mean, what is aloha wear to you? Is it how you wear it? Is it the actual garment? Is it just those two dresses or separates?
Well, one thing I want to say that I had a hard time with aloha wear and local women is that they always go, this dress doesn't have pockets. And there's a reason. Because I remember on Fridays, when it was Aloha Friday, and I'm walking down on Bishop Street, and women are wearing muʻumuʻu, and this is how they're going. Bagung, 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 bagung. Because I need pockets. I need pockets for my handkerchief. I need pockets for my car keys, for my grandson's leftover lunch. So that's one thing I have had to deal with. And will there be pockets or no pockets? Buy a purse. You know those little purses? Those little purses can carry a lot of things. I mean, yeah, anyway.
So anything goes, anything goes.
Yeah, anything, yes. Yeah, aloha wear should be whatever you feel like revealing. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, and an emphasis on the latter. Remember Damn Yankees?
Now, Aloha, you produce, keiki as well as...
I do kids stuff only right before school starts,
Okay.
so that they have great Aloha shirts to take pictures, and then they can use their shirts for till May Day. But I only do kids once a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily, they use the term muʻumuʻu as dresses, but you do all kinds of separates and pants and...
Like I said, I don't know what I'm doing, yeah. So we just make anything, and if it doesn't sell, it goes on clearance. But we've been super lucky that a lot of it has been selling. We do some off the wall stuff. Trust me. I look back stuff. I'm like, what was I thinking? But we do a lot of standard stuff that a lot of people have been liking that we kind of stick to every now and then. There's stuff I did coats one time. Again, I don't know what I was thinking.
You did umbrellas.
We did coats and we released it in summer. Who does that? Aloha Victor. Yeah, I did all kind of weird stuff, and it's just because I don't care. I like do what I like. So I don't call our stuff aloha wear. It's clothes, and if you want to wear it for anything, you wear it for whatever it is. I don't want to define it because people say aloha wear is for funerals, May Day, Merry Monarch. It's not. Today you see it everywhere. You see everybody wearing aloha wear every single day. So I don't want to define it as aloha wear. It's clothes that make you feel good. And you know, like for me, is if you look good, you're gonna feel good, and when you feel good, you're gonna do good, and you're gonna perform good, and that's what we really want to elevate our people to do, is be their greatest selves. So Kauluaʻe means to move upward and onward, to always be better than you were the day before. And that's what we kind of inspire, is that when you look good, you're going to feel good. So when you feel good, do great things.
Roberta, you make more than just aloha shirts too, though.
I do. I've become, I would say, I kind of transitioned from being a women's brand to doing aloha shirts and being more of an aloha shirt brand around 2010, 2012, kind of in that area. I don't do a lot of women's stuff. I have this customer base from the very beginning that are all women that keep asking me to make more women's stuff. So I'm getting back into that. But I kind of have dabbled in doing some table linens and napkins, and I think I needed a new set of cloth napkins for myself. So, and actually that's kind of where I come up with stuff sometimes, is stuff that I don't have in my own life that I need, and I'll just make something and be like, oh, I should make this for the store, or I think people would love this, or like, who, you know, where can you find a good set of table linens that's locally made, you know? So I think I kind of figure out what's missing in my own life and kind of make it for myself sometimes, and then if people comment on it or ask for it, then we do it for the store. And you know, it's trial and error. It's, you know, like Aloha said, not everything sells sometimes, and that's okay. It's, people love sales.
And sometimes our favorite things that we love, nobody wants.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, yeah, and then stuff that we look like, ooh, that's junk. It's the first thing to sell.
So what's in the future? I mean, you have online presence and a physical store.
I think like what my goals are right now is to get back into doing a little bit more women's wear. My store is only so big. It's hard sometimes to figure out where to put everything, and you have to kind of keep it dialed in to a certain degree. And I don't know, I think less is more sometimes. Like, I'm definitely don't aspire to be a high volume, you know, fast fashion brand. Like, I think every small business, when COVID hit, it was like if you had a lot of inventory and no sales, you were kind of freaking out. And I think that, like, you know, that whole time taught us all a lot about, you know, tightening things up and being okay. Like, I think one thing I've really struggled with over the years is saying no to things. Like, if companies reach out for projects, and it's like, you know, you want to say yes to everything, but I've gotten more comfortable being like, I think I'm okay. You know, I want to focus on my own brand and what I'm working on. And that's hard, and that's something that I'm getting more comfortable with, but I also want to see the brand continue to grow. So I think there's kind of a fine line there, and I'm still figuring that out. I don't know what I'm doing either. So, you know, I think it's interesting. We all kind of come from non-fashion backgrounds, and it seems like for all of this, you know, we're doing it because it's fun, and at a certain point, you don't want to lose that fun. So I think I'm always trying to remember to enjoy what I'm doing. And if something feels like stressful or that it's not enjoyable anymore, it's important to check in and kind of shift. So I think I'm trying to be more like that these days and make sure I'm enjoying what I'm doing and not getting caught up in the demand of people asking for certain things, but more like, what do I want to make and what do I want to wear, and that's what I'm going to make. So
Good, thank you.
I, on the other hand, say no a lot. Yeah, I've had multiple hotels ask if we would do their uniforms, and I say no.
are they the ones that call me after you say no?
They call whoever, but it's after me. Like, they don't like me after that. But you know, it's hard because they want an exclusive design, and they want it for like 5 years. And I'm like, I can't give up one of my designs for 5 years. So finally, after like 4 years, one of the hotels in Kona finally convinced me that I would do, but it's not a print that nobody's really seen, so they don't really know it's mine. But it did help with the free hotel rooms and and the buffets and and the come to another meeting. Okay, is it breakfast or lunch? Yeah. There's a lot of perks to it, but there's a lot of you can't do everything, so you gotta say no sometimes. But yeah, the uniform thing is they won't make it here, so that was why I said no. That was the contention, was it has to be made at a uniform shop in Texas where there's a certain fabric that the hotel uniforms use. So that's why I said no for 4 years. No, I want it made in Hawaii. So we're still, but I kind of said yeah, because they're going to give me free rooms every year. It's part of my contract.
So uniforms under another label.
No, it'll be under Kauluaʻe, but it'll just be a design specifically. We created, again, I go back to sense of self, sense of place, sense of community. And we had a discussion about what kind of print they wanted. And I said, I think you should really entertain the foliage that you have here. So it's a Lauaʻi print. This hotel is known for Lauaʻi, so we pick Lauaʻi in their parking lot all the time.
That's in the contract too, right? Yeah.
No, it's in Native Rights Gathering. That's a whole nother contract. Yeah. You do it at night in black. You go during the day and you check it out and you find out where you can park. And then about 11:30, when the shift of security changes, you gather. And then you mahalo them and you say thank you. But see, the thing about people who gather, we know how to gather. It looks like we never touched it. Because we pick all the way from the bottom of the stem, yeah? And then we take our rubbish with us. So if you have a home that has beautiful landscaping, thank you. If you have animals, we fed them kindly so they wouldn't bark. Yeah, thank you. Ala Moana, thank you. The mall has plenty palapalai and Lauaʻi. Thank you, Ala Moana. Yeah. But what were we talking about? Sorry. Native gathering rights, picking in kind things.
The future of your label.
Oh, I don't know. This is just for fun. I have to credit a lot of it to one of my best friends. She's in the front over here. She's the most annoying best friend in the whole wide world. But she encourages me all the time to do stuff I don't want to do. And then I finally give in, and then it's a really good sale. And then she goes, you see, I told you. I'm like, I don't want to admit that she's right. But she's been right 94% of the time. So we did tablecloths and shower curtains. I would have never done that stuff, but she said to do it. So I did it, and then it did well, but don't tell her. But yeah, it's, like I said, it's all for shits and giggles. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it is what it is. But, fashion has changed and evolved so much. And everybody has a different everybody doesn't like certain things. Everybody, then there's those who are only following the fads. And of course, everybody likes Kenny right now. So every design company, wait, don't record this. There's so many companies that are just selling Kenny and lei designs. And I'm like, how much more Kenny outfits do you need? How many more lei shirts do you need? You get every lei, okay, eight islands, and then 25 extra. How many more do you need? So, there's those that are fatical, and please don't record this. There are those that are fatical, and they're going to just follow that. But I like stuff that if you walk into a room, there's only going to be maybe a few, and that's it, personally. Because I'm also the one that travels with 2 shirts in my car. So if I walk into a party or an event and somebody has my shirt, I go right back to my car, change, and I come back. But as for the brand, my kids don't want nothing to do with it. So I don't know. It's just I'll go to I'm 86.
Okay.
Yeah, at least to 86. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but Nakeʻu's celebrating his 50th year doing design, and that's so inspirational. So if you don't have a Nakeʻu Awai shirt, you need to get one because it's legacy prints already.
So Nakeʻu, what's next for you? What's next?
I'm gonna buy it.
What's next for the Nakeʻu? He's not selling. What's next though in your design?
What's next?
Yeah. Anything new?
What is next? Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Yes. Yes, I'm surviving. What's next is, yeah.
Having fun. Well, this has been very fun and very enjoyable, and we thank you for your years of design. That there's a lot in the audience, and we're going to end the program, but some of us will be up here. Feel free to answer questions after the program, but I want to thank our designers here for a very wonderful and entertaining and educational program.